live from Bethesda, Ventnor, New Jersey. This is news that you can use for what is today, the May 30th. Um, what the?
This
Hey,
is rough. This is rough, Dad. You go home and this is rough. Can I get a quick audio check from the chat? How's the sound coming through from Pops's end? How are you doing this morning, Dad?
I'm doing well, except I can't see the chat.
Oh, yeah, you can't see the chat.
Yeah.
Wow, how are you going to cope with this? You going to come back now?
I guess for the next 90 days, I'm not going to see the damn chat.
Keep me posted. Dave says echo. Let me know if there's some issues with the audio. Please let me know immediately. Okay, Stiggs is saying it sounds good. Thank you, Stiggs. How you doing, Pops?
I am doing well. It is a glorious day at the seashore today, and it was equally glorious yesterday. And so, yes, I'm damn glad to be home and taking advantage of the fresh sea air.
Let's kick things off, Pops, with a good story coming out from the Nikkei in Asia. It's honestly a bad story, but the reality is, Dad, Japanese automakers, they struggled last month in April. You can't imagine things were any better off here in May. Did you get a chance to click through and read this article?
I did. It's I think if I remember correctly, like Honda's output has fallen over 50%, and they only produced like 190,000 vehicles last month, which is like I don't know, next to nothing for them.
Yeah, it was not Honda's inventory. Honda's production levels dropped 54% year over year from April of last year. Toyotas were down 9%. Everyone with the exception of Subaru did.
Yes.
Subaru's production capabilities actually increased 63, or production capacity increased, I think it was 63% year over year for April.
Yeah, thank goodness for them, because otherwise their dealers in the United States wouldn't have any cars.
Correct. But I
Yeah.
thought that was interesting. Every single Japanese automaker struggled more than they had anticipated in the month of April. Subaru was the one bright spot there. This is also on the heels of, so that includes, to be clear, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Honda, Toyota, Suzuki, but Suzuki isn't really sold here in the States.
You probably don't know Daihatsu, but I do.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah,
Now, Dad, this also...
We were very close friends, by the way.
I'm sure you were. This also comes on the heels of the latest microchip shortage numbers. Dad, did you see this?
I did. It like doubled from last week. But then again, last week is when we got all the news about Toyota first slashing their production by 100,000 units for the month, and then 3 days later knocking another 50,000 units off. So it's a big number, not a surprising number based on what we had seen last week from Toyota coming to the forefront and saying, yeah, we're cutting back on production. We've got supply chain issues. And what we have to realize is that today the supply chain issues are more than just the chips. The chip manufacturing concerns are beginning to really get a handle on producing the requisite quantity of older chips for the automobile manufacturers. The problem is in other areas of the supply chain. So it's not just the chips. It's everything combined with the chips. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if it's picking up from your nice microphone. I just had like an epiphany.
It's not picking up what?
From your nice microphone. Do you want to try really quick? Wait, I think so. If you click on settings, and then click on audio.
Audio, yeah. Oh, I'm seeing that.
What does it say under mic?
So we need to choose.
Now, Dad, now we lost your audio. So turn on the red thing. Remember, press the on button on the red thing. Oh, no, now we lost you. Fascinating. Troubleshooting with Ray and Zach while talking about production facilities that can't produce vehicles. No, turn your gain up. No, but you look good. I can't hear your joke, Dad. Can't hear your joke. There you go. Wait, you did it. You did it. Wait, we lost you. You did it a second ago and it worked.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Can I tell you? There's just too damn many buttons on this red thing.
Hey, we should have gotten rid of the echo. Nice. Now you should be good.
Well, I was good before. I'm just not echoing. Yeah.
All right. So we resolved that crisis. As you were saying, Dad, some of the chip production issues, you think they're actually remediating. However, there are other supply chain issues that are facing the manufacturers.
Yes.
And let's be very clear. A lot of the shutdowns in China right now are a direct result of the COVID-19 pandemic, continuing to have shutdowns of staff being able to work and things like that.
Exactly. So I think, that's a big contributing factor as to what we're seeing. But that was a big number this week in vehicles lost to production. It more than doubled from last week. I don't know that we're going to really see better numbers next week, but hopefully we do. Hopefully the issues get a little better in China.
Yeah, well, we've been hoping for that for 2 years now.
Yes.
David says, Pops, I do wonder, when will the OEMs start shutting down their plants? And quite frankly, we've already seen manufacturers stop placing model year orders for the 2022 model year.
Well, and a lot of the factories have been shut down temporarily in Japan for quite a bit of the domestic production there. I don't think we've seen quite as many plant shutdowns here in the United States, but they are having issues in shutting down facilities in Japan, at least temporarily. And still, for instance, some of the Hondas that make it to this country and some of the Toyotas that make it to this country are built in Japan. Not everything is built domestically here for Honda or Toyota. And by domestically, I mean in North America, in Canada, the United States, and Mexico.
Question here from Alicia, Pops. Did my new Honda increase in value when I drove it off the lot instead of the normal decreasing? Are we still in a used car appreciation time?
I believe it probably did, only because there's still demand for these cars and there's still a shortage of these cars. So even though you just bought a car, there's probably somebody else that would love to have that car and would pay you a little bit of a premium to get it, rather than have to wait 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months for it to come in at their local dealer. So yes, more than likely, instead of your vehicle depreciating the moment you drove it off the lot, it appreciated slightly. Now, how much longer that will continue is anybody's guess, and that's going to depend on many of the economic issues that are out there at the moment.
Economic, social, political, environmental. The issues are, everywhere.
Yes.
Here you go from Stig's Pops. Saw where Black Book of Canada was quoted as saying that used car prices won't go back down to reasonable levels until 2026. Did want to say kudos to Zach and Ray for sticking with their guns on this. I've been saying 2025, maybe we'll start to see a little bit of normality, but that's interesting to hear. Black Book of Canada saying 2026 is when used cars return to quote normal.
And I really believe that if and when we enter into a recession, this recession is going to be different than previous recessions, in the sense that previously in the automobile industry during recessions, there was availability of vehicles, new and used. There was, during those recessionary times, an abundance of new and used cars that were available. What was in short supply were people that actually wanted to buy them or had the ability to buy them. Today, if we go into a recession, there is a short supply and of new and pre-owned cars, with no real hope in sight that there's going to be a major influx in either of those. And because of pent-up demand, there might not be a short supply of people that are in the market still to get a car. So typically during a recession, you would see new car pricing and used car pricing decline significantly in order for the dealers to move their inventory. But in this recession, if and when we have one, that very well might not be the case because there's just such a dearth of both new and used car inventory.
It was interesting when I was down with you this past weekend and drove past Dealership Row in Atlantic City. There were compared to when I was there last year, there were a lot more cars at the Cadillac dealership, at the Chevrolet dealership, and I'm trying to think what the third one was that we drove past. Maybe Buick. Honestly. Yeah, I think it was Buick.
And we also drove past their Subaru store that had
there was nothing.
And they had nothing. They had, as we drove past, it looked like about 8 cars on the pre-owned side and about 6 or 7 cars on the new car side. And that was a pretty busy store. Now, if I may, when we drove past the Cadillac and the Chevrolet store and all that, well, at one time, that location, when it was owned by the previous owner, was the largest purveyor of new Corvettes in the United States. Okay.
Why?
FC Kerbeck, he loved his Corvettes, and he gathered inventory and they sold nationally. And you couldn't find another dealer that had even a quarter of the supply of Corvettes that they had. And when we drove past the other day, there were not a lot of Corvettes there. Okay.
No, that's true.
And that was a store that literally probably had 200 to 250 Corvettes in stock at most times. So,
wow.
Yes. It's someday when you're bored or when you're on the metro going back home, look up FC Kerbeck and Corvette sales, because they were a significant player in Corvette sales in the country at one time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Pops, we need to turn our attention. There are 2 stories in automotive news that I think are really going to be of interest to you. Also, first, thank you for this, Brian. Got a Silverado on Friday at MSRP, in and out of the F&I office in 15 minutes. He said, it's obvious you know what I'm selling and you know what you want, so no point wasting time. Thanks, Ray, Zach, and team. That's awesome to hear, Pops.
That is the beauty of what it is that we're trying to do, where somebody took the knowledge that we've shared with them and they have applied it. Applied knowledge is power. When you sound like you know what you're talking about because you know the terminology and the lingo that's used in the dealerships, the dealer's going to treat you differently than somebody that doesn't. So congratulations, and I'm really glad that we were able to help in some small way.
Now, Pops, these are the stories that I want to turn our attention to. Mercedes-Benz unfurls factory direct sales plans on the same day that BMW Mini consider agency approach in Europe. This is after Audi has actually already announced that they plan to do more of an agency model. Now, I don't know if you had a chance. Did you get a chance to read either of these?
I read the Mercedes one. I did not read the BMW one yet. But Mercedes, especially in Germany, is going to cut down on the number of dealers that they have, dealerships that they have. They're going to go to like delivery centers and things like that, where they'll probably pay the dealer a commission for having delivered the vehicle. But they at least in Europe, they want to get into the direct sales. They figure that they can control the customer experience better than what their dealer body does, and that they can then control customer loyalty better than their dealerships do, which to a certain degree makes sense. We'll see how it works out. But they want to go, Mercedes plans is to go even further high end than they are presently. And do consumer direct.
So does this not fall in line with how I've kind of articulated what I see coming in the future?
Yes.
Dad, yeah, sure. Europe's a large market for most of these automakers, right?
Yes. No, absolutely it is.
Could it be a bit of a testing ground for what they may want to do internationally? Like if you're the international head of Mercedes-Benz, and I don't know who Daimler's CEO is right now, but not just the CEO of their Europe business division, you're going to be looking around at all of your different leaders of your different business units. You're going to be looking at what's the gross profit and how well are they growing. And I'm just, by 2030, if you're looking at that and Europe's way outperforming North America or Asia, wouldn't you think they might consider doing that elsewhere?
It's just my suspicion, and this is a suspicion because I don't know what the laws are in Europe or in Germany when it comes to franchise agreements and things like that. The manufacturer might have more freedom to do what they want there because there might be less um, um, laws and regulations regarding how vehicles are sold in those countries. Now, in the United States, you have 50 states plus the District of Columbia, and every one of these states has some type of automotive franchise laws on the books to protect the franchise dealer. And the big difference is here in the United States between the National Automobile Dealers Association and your local and state dealer associations. There is a huge lobbying effort on a daily basis that spends hundreds of millions of dollars to keep things the way they are. And I mean, Tesla built a battery facility and a manufacturing facility in Texas, and yet they can't sell direct to consumer in Texas. Okay. So in a lot of states where the laws and the regulations are really in the franchise dealer's favor, it's going to be tough for these manufacturers to then begin a direct to consumer selling platform. I agree that in a lot of cases consumers would prefer that. I get that. I think there's aspects of the dealership business that customers or consumers would like, tied in with being able to not have to deal with salespeople per se or F&I people per se, but to be able to at least go in and test drive a car, make sure they're ordering the right vehicle. But I agree with you. It's certainly not going to be in my lifetime that there'll be major changes in how cars are sold in this country, but I think it's a long way off. That's just me.
Pops, what we're seeing from Mercedes-Benz, let's just think about all the different brands where we've heard some rumbling. So you've got to agree that we're seeing more traction against the direct-to-consumer route than ever before.
Yes.
Because before, couldn't even talk about it. Now, not only are we talking about it, we have Ford Model E, which is Ford selling directly to consumer. We've got VW with Scout, right?
Yes.
So they're going to be selling potentially direct to consumer. And we're starting to already see the dealer body flex their muscle and say, hey, no, you're not. Then we have in Europe, Mercedes-Benz has made it very clear what their plans are. We've had Audi with their e-tron very clear what their plans are. BMW and Mini, we haven't even talked about that, but they're making it clear what their plans are.
They're all making it clear what their plans are in Europe. And they know, and the reason they're making it clear what their plans are in Europe is because they can make that happen easier and sooner in Europe than they ever can in the United States. And they realize that. And that's why in the press releases from Mercedes-Benz, they've said, well, this does not include the United States in any way, shape, or form, because they know to battle their dealer body here. And let's face it, if you're a Mercedes-Benz dealer or you're a BMW dealer, it is like you have been given the keys to the printing press to make to print as much money as you want. Okay. And those dealers are well heeled. They were well heeled before they became a Mercedes dealer or a BMW dealer, but they're extremely well heeled today. And they've got the money to fight back. Now, are their pockets as deep as Mercedes and BMW's? Probably not. But would BMW and Mercedes-Benz be able to justify the expense of fighting their dealers in court for 10, 15, 20 years? Can they justify that expense and how it impacts the bottom line to their investors? Probably not. The investors, they want the stock to go up.
Yep.
They don't want the stock to be impacted by all the money that they would have to spend in order to make this happen. So I think it'll take years. It could be the next generation of dealers that they can work with, and they can come to some type of compromise where everybody can go, okay, this will work.
I'm just saying, Pops. Like, at this point, the momentum is starting to build. Every week, for the past 3 weeks, there's been a new story about moving more towards direct to consumer. That's a pattern. We're starting to see a pattern of behavior. And I know we want to say, hey, this is how it's always worked. And the franchise money talks. And I agree with you. The stockholders at the end of the day are going to dictate, or raising your stock price is going to dictate what they do. Yes. I wouldn't be surprised. I've said this for a long time. Everyone's looking at Tesla. Everyone's looking at the $1 trillion+ company Tesla. Ford wants to be Tesla. GM wants to be Tesla. Mercedes-Benz wants to be Tesla. An aspect of that, I think, is moving away from what got you here, knowing that that isn't what's going to get you there. The dealership model. I thought it was interesting. Automotive news. Every Monday, we're seeing a new story about how we're moving away from dealers.
I agree with you that it's interesting. And I agree with you that at a certain point in time that the dealership model will change in this country. You're 26. Okay. You very likely will see that change in your lifetime. I am 71. I might be able to see the beginning of that change. I will not see the outcome of that change. So yes, I agree. I think the industry is changing, but at least in the United States, it's going to take a lot longer here than it will in Europe. And I mean a lot longer.
I agree with you. I really, really do. All right, Pops, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the state of Georgia. Who knew Georgia would be the hub for automotive? It kind of feels like maybe the new home for all of our EV hopes and dreams is going to be in the state of Georgia. I'll pull it up on the screen briefly. We'll chat about it for just a second. Then I've got something else I want to queue up for you. But Rivian and Hyundai, they're investing over $10 billion into the state of Georgia to build their manufacturing capabilities, 15,000 assembly jobs. I found this fascinating. Georgia is now becoming the hub for EV production.
It is fascinating. Here's the difference, though, that I will say. I believe that Hyundai's commitment to doing something will actually come to fruition. Okay. Rivian's commitment is probably strong as can be, but the ability to actually pull it off is probably somewhat limited. If they don't work out some of their early growth problems that they're having, the issues that they're having, the fact that they can't seem to produce their vehicles in any large numbers at all, the fact that the head of manufacturing just left the company.
Someone's got to be the scapegoat, Dad.
Yeah. Well, somebody had to be. The fact that their stock has tanked. I appreciate that Georgia was willing to make the commitment to Rivian, and Rivian was willing to make the commitment to Georgia. But if Rivian ends up not being able to get their hands on that $5 billion, then they're not going to be building anything in Georgia. I hope they get to build things in Georgia. I think it would be great for Georgia, and it would be great for Georgians, to be able to create some good, high-paying jobs in the manufacturing sector in this country. And I believe with Hyundai, that will definitely happen. They've been around a long, long time. Rivian's been around, like a week and a half in comparison, to Hyundai. So, yes, it's great news. It really is. And to me, it's interesting that so much of the EV manufacturing is going to be based in Georgia. Weather's pretty good most of the time. Excuse me. They don't get a lot of snow. So Yeah, no, I think that's terrific for the state. I really do.
Okay, my mind, as you were saying all that, jumped right back to the dealership conversation. The service side is where you make all the money anyway, Dad. So why can't the dealerships just you sell new cars direct to consumer, everyone gets some service at the dealership? Like, wouldn't the dealers be happy with that? And then you cut down your staff overhead, you probably make even more money. I don't know. As you were talking about Georgia, which is a great state, that's where my mind was jumping back to.
Well, and that very well could be the future. It's just not tomorrow's future. It might be the future 15, 20 years from now. Because think about this, Zach. It is going to take an awful lot of conversations to get everybody on board to give up what you're going to ask dealers to give up, because dealers set the pricing. Well, actually, the market sets the pricing, but dealerships influence what the market is willing to pay. And the way these manufacturers want to do it is the price is going to be the price. So realistically, the dealership, whatever that may look like in the future, is going to get a commission for delivering the vehicle. Much like the salesperson gets a commission today, well, suddenly the dealership just becomes a salesperson in the sense that's how they're compensated. Now, if we're talking about EVs in the future, they require, from what everybody keeps telling me, less service. So how much service business is there going to be on the service side of things? You're talking about a dramatic shift in how dealerships make money. So
we got this here from John Pops. Just spent $900 at the dealer for service. We've talked about the most recent data from X Time Service, which is a Cox Automotive subsidiary company that they own, is well over $500 per repair order. It's the now average repair size at a dealership.
So it's crazy expensive, and it's only going to get more expensive.
All right, Pops, it's the first time we're doing this remote in a while. You ready?
I believe. Really? You gotta be kidding me.
It's kind of loud.
Well, yeah.
All right, so I was perusing the internet, as I do, and I came across an interesting page when I was on Porsche Princeton's website, Dad. So we talked a little bit last Friday with Miss Kimberly Klein. There are 4 different kind of laws and legislations that have been passed that protect consumers. One of them was the gram bleach, and I'm going to forget the... Help me if you can. But anyway, it's a data privacy one. Look at the URL. We are on princetonporsche.com/Latin romance tours.
Okay.
So on this page, you have information about Latin romance tours, as well as obviously the dealership information. Latin brides real? ?
Wow.
Does it matter what is going on here? It appears.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna let's go under About Us. Let's go to their blog really quick. Where is it? Blog. I think what is this? Finest online romance sites and apps of 2022. 3 legitimate Asian relationship sites in USA.
Can I ask you a silly question?
Porsche Princeton. Wake up, my friends. Wake up. You got hacked.
Did you send them a little note saying, oh, I don't know if you're aware of this or not? I mean, that would be...
but I plan on it. I mean, that's bad. Graham Leach Bliley.
Yes. Yeah.
Dad, Porsche Princeton getting hacked over here.
Oh, my God. But, I understand their tour business to Latin America is booming. Just, because God knows there's any number of eligible bachelors in the Princeton area looking for wives, and they don't want to go through all the work.
This is either you got hacked or there was a disgruntled employee that left. Like one of the two. It's got to be one or the other. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, Porsche Princeton, what are they? A $100 million business? I mean, this is a big business, at least. And this is what's on their website. Well,
you know what? I'm going with it was a disgruntled employee.
Well, we'll never know. I'm gonna
I'm
gonna reach out to him, Dad. I'll let him know. But I saw that and I was like, wait a second, this is bad.
Well, I have a question for you. What were you doing looking for a Porsche in the first place?
Whoa. We don't need to get into that. It's just,
Just
a lot of
curious.
people have been using the code HONOR to save 20% on their YAA membership. Things have been looking good. No, I found it on Reddit. So thank you, Reddit.
Yeah.
I appreciate Reddit coming to save the day. I haven't looked at a Porsche since you and I test drove one. What was that? 3-4 years ago? 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
It was a while ago. Yes.
Yeah, we drove a Macan together.
Yes.
Didn't really like it.
Yes. Thank God.
Yeah, plus, it would have been so expensive.
Yeah, even though I could have gotten you a deal.
Yeah. All right, Pops. First remote show in the books. Happy Memorial Day to you. I know we talked before the show. Your plan today is to 1, go for a walk, and 2, lay on your chaise lounge and get a nap in. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I need to work on my color. I need to get my summer beach color going.
I can't wait to see it, Dad. All right, well, we'll be back tomorrow.
Yes,
we should be back tomorrow.
From Bethesda Ventnor, with more news that you can use at noon Eastern time, 9 Pacific. And for those of you out on the Pacific coast, and if you can, put your toes in the Pacific Ocean. I hear it's a wonderful place.
Thanks, Pops. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you all tomorrow, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Bye.